The stars had never seemed so quiet until that Tuesday morning when everything changed. Commander Jake Murphy stood on the bridge of the ESS Valiant, staring at the screens that showed something impossible. 30 massive ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, and they were not human. The ships were enormous, each one at least 5 miles long. They looked like floating cities made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange symbols glowed along their hulls in colors that hurt to look at for too long. These were not explorers or traders. These were warships. Jake had been in the Earth Space Service for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. His hands shook slightly as he reached for the communication panel. Around him, his crew of 40 men and women worked frantically at their stations, trying to gather as much information as possible about these visitors. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Chris Baker, the communications officer. He was young, barely 25, and his face had gone pale. "Put it through," Jake ordered, keeping his voice steady even though his heart was racing. The main screen flickered and changed. A face appeared, if it could be called a face. The alien had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, skin that looked like dark purple leather, and a mouth filled with too many teeth. When it spoke, the computer translated the sounds into English. "Primitive beings of the third planet," the alien said, its voice deep and rumbling. "I am High Commander Zyrax of the Krellian Empire. Your world has been selected for annexation into our territory. You will surrender immediately and accept our rule. Resistance is futile. We have conquered 4,000 species across this galaxy. You are nothing special." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. This creature had traveled across space to Earth and was demanding surrender without even asking for dialogue. The arrogance was stunning. He looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting to see what he would do. Jake thought about Earth, about the 7 billion people living their lives down on that blue planet. He thought about his daughter Katie, who was probably in school right now, learning about history and math, completely unaware that aliens had just arrived. Jake made his decision. He opened the communication channel. "This is Commander Jake Murphy of the Earth Space Service," he said clearly. "I speak for humanity. We have one message for you and your empire." He paused, making sure every word would be recorded and remembered. "This is your only warning. Turn your ships around and leave our solar system now. Go back to where you came from. If you continue toward Earth, you will face consequences that you cannot imagine." On the screen, High Commander Zyrax's 4 eyes widened, then narrowed. For a moment there was silence. Then the alien threw back his head and made a sound that the computer identified as laughter. "Consequences?" Zyrax said, still laughing. "You dare threaten the Krellian Empire? Your primitive world has barely mastered space travel. We have weapons that can crack planets in half. Your warning is amusing, human. We will ignore it." The communication cut off. On the tactical display, Jake watched as the 30 Krellian ships began moving forward, heading deeper into the solar system. "They were coming toward Earth. Sir, what do we do?" asked Chris Baker. Jake pressed a button on his command chair, opening a secure channel that connected directly to Earth's military command. "Get me General Dan Foster," he said. "Tell him the visitors ignored our warning. Tell him it's time to show them what humanity really is." As he waited for the connection, Jake looked out at the stars again. The Krellians thought Earth was weak and primitive. They thought humans would be easy to conquer. They had no idea how wrong they were. Somewhere on Mars, in secret bases buried deep beneath the red sand, weapons were powering up. Weapons that had been waiting for this moment for 40 years. Weapons that would change everything. The Krellians had been warned. They chose not to listen. Now they would learn the truth about Earth the hard way. Jake watched the enemy ships grow closer on his display. He felt calm now. The fear was gone, replaced by something else, determination. "All stations, battle stations," he ordered. "Prepare for contact, and send a message to the fleet. Tell them the warning has been given and ignored. Authorization code Murphy Alpha 7. Around him, alarms began to sound. The ESS Valiant came alive with activity as crew members rushed to their combat positions. In the distance, the Krellian ships continued their approach, completely unaware that they were sailing into a trap that had been prepared for decades. Earth had given them one warning. Only one, and they had thrown it away. High Commander Zyrax sat in his command throne aboard the Imperial flagship, watching the recording of the humans' warning for the 3rd time. Each time he watched it, he found it more amusing. The primitive creature had actually threatened the Krellian Empire. Him, The conqueror of the Andromeda sector. Replay it again, Zyrax ordered his second-in-command, a younger Krellian named Vorn. The human appeared on screen once more, with his simple uniform and his ridiculous words about consequences. Zyrax's officers gathered around, and soon the entire bridge was filled with the sound of Krellian laughter. "He speaks as if he commands a fleet of 1,000 ships," said Vorn, wiping moisture from his eyes. "Their entire space presence consists of perhaps 50 small vessels. We could destroy them all before they fired a single shot." Zyrax nodded. The Empire's intelligence division had studied Earth for months before the fleet arrived. The humans had only recently developed basic space travel. They had a few stations orbiting their planet and some mining operations on their moon and on Mars. Nothing impressive. Nothing that could stand against the might of 30 Krellian warships. "Move the fleet into orbit around their moon," Zyrax commanded. "We will position ourselves there and give them 24 hours to surrender. Let them see our ships and understand their situation. Sometimes the sight of superior force is enough to break a primitive species." The fleet changed course, moving past the orbit of the outer planets. As they traveled, Zyrax prepared his surrender demand. It would be broadcast to every communication device on Earth. Every human would hear his words and know that their world now belonged to the Empire. On Earth, President Linda Hayes sat in the Situation Room beneath the White House. Around the large table sat the most important military leaders in the world. General Dan Foster, commander of the Earth Defense Force, was pulling up holographic displays that showed the position of the Krellian fleet. "They're heading for lunar orbit," Dan said, his voice grim. "They'll be in position in 6 hours." Admiral Kate Morrison, head of the space fleet, leaned forward. "The Valiant reports they made the standard warning. The aliens laughed at us." Linda Hayes folded her hands on the table. She was 53 years old and had been president for 3 years. In that time, she had dealt with economic crises, natural disasters, and political conflicts. But nothing had prepared her for this moment. "Show me the Mars files," she said quietly. A young officer pressed some buttons, and new images appeared on the screens. Ancient structures carved into Martian rock. Strange technology that glowed with its own light. Weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. "The ruins were discovered 41 years ago," Dan Foster explained, though everyone in the room already knew the story. "The technology we found there was thousands of years beyond our own. We've spent 4 decades studying it, copying it, and building our own versions. And the Krellians have no idea," Kate Morrison added. "Our intelligence suggests they believe we're still using primitive rocket technology. They think our space stations are the best we can build." Linda looked at each person around the table. "So we have the advantage of surprise." "Yes, ma'am," Dan confirmed. "They expect to find farmers with simple tools. Instead, they're going to find something very different." On the screens, they could see the Krellian fleet settling into position around Earth's moon. The massive ships hung in space like dark clouds blocking out stars. 12 hours later, Zyrax's message came. Every television, computer, and phone on Earth suddenly displayed the same transmission. The alien commander appeared, speaking in his translated voice. "Humans of Earth, I am High Commander Zyrax. Your planet is now property of the Krellian Empire. You have 24 hours to surrender your governments and accept imperial rule. If you resist, we will demonstrate the power of our weapons on your cities. Choose wisely. The Empire has never failed to conquer a world. You will not be the first." The transmission ended, leaving billions of humans staring at their screens in shock and fear. In the Situation Room, Linda Hayes stood up. "General Foster, activate the defense grid. Admiral Morrison, position our real fleet. It's time to show the Krellian Empire what happens when you ignore a warning from Earth." She pressed a button that connected her to every military base on the planet and throughout the solar system. Authorization code Hayes Omega-1. Remove all disguises. Power up all systems. Prepare for combat. Across the solar system, things that had looked like ordinary satellites and asteroids began to change. Hidden doors opened. Weapons emerged. The trap was ready. The Krellians had 24 hours. Earth had 40 years. It was not going to be a fair fight. Captain Ben Clark watched the countdown timer on his screen. 23 hours and 17 minutes remained until the Krellian deadline. Around him, Mars Base Alpha hummed with activity as 200 personnel prepared for what was coming. The base looked ordinary from the outside, just another research station on the Red Planet. But beneath the surface, Hidden under 300 feet of rock and metal was something the Krellians could never imagine. The Defense Grid Control Center. All stations report ready, said Lieutenant Sarah Brooks from her position at the tactical console. She was one of the few people who knew the full truth about what humanity had built. Ben stood and walked to the large window that looked out over the Martian landscape. In the distance, he could see the entrance to the ruins, the place where everything changed. Sarah, bring up the historical file. The one from 41 years ago. The main screen flickered and showed old video footage. A team of explorers in early spacesuits, standing at the entrance to a massive underground structure. The timestamp read March 15, 1984. Ben had watched this recording 100 times, but it never got old. The explorers had been looking for water when they found the entrance. What they discovered inside changed human history forever. The ruins were huge, stretching for miles beneath the Martian surface. Whoever built them had technology that seemed like magic. Rooms that generated their own gravity. Power sources that never ran out. And weapons. So many weapons. Most importantly, they found data crystals, millions of them, containing information about technology, science, and history. The crystals also contained a warning. Play the message, Ben said softly. Another video appeared. This one showed symbols being translated by a computer. Slowly, words formed in English. We are the architects. We created many wonders across this galaxy. We also created weapons to defend against those who would destroy. The species on the third planet from this star are our children, planted long ago. When they are ready, they will find this place. Use what we have left. Protect yourselves. The galaxy is not safe. The message ended. Ben felt the same chill he always felt when he heard those words. Humanity was not alone. Had never been alone. They were the descendants of something greater. For 40 years, governments had worked in secret to understand the architect technology. Scientists like Dr. Amy Porter had spent their entire careers studying the crystals and the machines. Engineers had built copies of the weapons, improved them, and hidden them throughout the solar system. Captain Clark, we're receiving a transmission from the Krellian ambassador ship, Sarah announced. They're requesting communication with our leadership. Ben smiled. Put it through to Earth. I want to hear this. On Earth, President Linda Hayes appeared on screen facing the Krellian ambassador, a smaller alien with green skin and 6 arms. The ambassador bowed slightly. President Hayes, I am Ambassador Kelth. I come with a final offer from High Commander Zyrax. Surrender now, and your people will be treated well. The Empire is not cruel to those who accept their fate peacefully. Linda looked at the alien with cold eyes. Ambassador, let me tell you something about humans. We don't accept fate. We make our own future. But you cannot resist us, Kelth said, sounding genuinely confused. We have conquered thousands of worlds. Your technology is primitive. Please be reasonable. Primitive? Linda leaned forward. Ambassador, let me educate you. 41 years ago, we found something on Mars. The ruins of an ancient civilization. A civilization that left us a gift. Kelth's skin changed color slightly. A sign of nervousness in his species. That is impossible. The architects are a myth. Dr. Porter. Please show our guest the evidence, Linda said. The screen split, and Dr. Amy Porter appeared from her laboratory on Mars. Behind her, strange machines glowed with blue light. She held up a crystal. This contains the complete technical specifications for a quantum disruptor cannon, Amy explained calmly. We have built 473 of them. They are currently positioned throughout the solar system. Each one can destroy a ship the size of your flagships in approximately 4 seconds. Kelth stared at the screen. You are lying. Such technology does not exist anymore. It does now, Linda said. We reverse-engineered everything the architects left behind. We improved it. We've had 4 decades to prepare for this exact moment, when someone finally came to our solar system and tried to take what is ours. Ben watched from Mars as Amy continued the demonstration, showing weapons and shields that should have been impossible. The Krellian ambassador looked sick. I must report this to the High Commander, Kelth said weakly. Do that, Linda replied, and tell him this. The deadline he gave us? We don't accept it. Instead, we're giving him a new deadline. He has 12 hours to leave our solar system. If even one Krellian ship remains after that time, we will show him exactly what architect technology can do. The communication ended. Kelth's ship immediately turned and raced back toward the Krellian fleet. On Mars Base Alpha, Ben Clark activated the defense grid. Across the solar system, Asteroids that were not really asteroids began to move into attack positions. Satellites that looked ordinary revealed hidden weapons. The moon itself began to open, showing the massive fortress that humans had been building inside it for decades. "All stations confirm ready," Sarah reported. "We can fire on your command." Ben looked at the countdown. The Krellians now had a choice: leave peacefully or face the consequences they had been warned about. Humanity had given them another warning. The second and final one. High Commander Zyrax read Ambassador Kelth's report 3 times before he threw his datapad across the command bridge. The device shattered against the wall, making his officers flinch. "Lies," Zyrax growled. "All lies. The architects are a myth, dead for millions of years. These humans are trying to scare us with stories." His second-in-command, Vorn, picked up the broken pieces. "Commander," the ambassador seemed certain. He saw their technology with his own eyes. "He saw tricks and illusions," Zyrax snapped. "I have conquered species far more advanced than these primitives. They build fake weapons and make empty threats. We will call their bluff." The 12-hour deadline from the humans had passed 3 hours ago. Zyrax had ignored it, just as he had ignored the first warning. Now he would show Earth what happened to those who dared to threaten the Empire. "All ships power up weapons," Zyrax commanded. "Target their moon fortress. If they truly built something there, we will destroy it. Fire on my command." On 30 Krellian warships, massive cannons began to glow with building energy. Each weapon could level a city. Together they could crack a moon in half. "Energy signatures detected," reported the sensor officer. "The enemy is powering up weapons as well." Zyrax smiled. "Good, let them waste their energy. Fire all weapons." The Krellian fleet unleashed their attack. Beams of superheated plasma shot toward Earth's moon, enough destructive force to destroy any normal defense. Then something impossible happened. The moon split open like a flower. Huge metal doors that had been hidden beneath fake rock pulled back, revealing a structure that gleamed with silver and blue light. The plasma beams hit a shield that appeared from nowhere, and the deadly energy simply scattered into space like raindrops on glass. "Impossible," Zyrax whispered. From the moon fortress, return fire came instantly. But these were not plasma beams. These were weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. Purple energy bolts crossed the distance between the moon and the Krellian fleet in less than a second. The first bolt hit the warship Devastator. The mighty vessel's shields, which could withstand nuclear weapons, simply vanished. The ship's hull tore apart like wet paper. In 5 seconds, the Devastator was gone. Just debris floating in space, evasive action. Vorn screamed. More bolts came. Commander Jake Murphy, watching from the ESS Valiant, gave the order he had been waiting 40 years to give. "All defense platforms, open fire. Show them everything." Across the solar system, the trap sprang shut. Asteroids that had floated peacefully in the belt for millions of years suddenly moved with purpose. Panels slid open on their surfaces, revealing cannons that glowed with the same purple light. "Sir, we're detecting 473 weapons platforms," the Krellian sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. "Energy signatures match architect technology. It's real. It's all real." Zyrax could only watch as his fleet was torn apart. The Krellians tried to fight back, but their weapons were useless. Human shields absorbed every shot. Human weapons cut through Krellian ships like they were made of thin foil. Captain Ben Clark, commanding the defense grid from Mars, felt no joy in the destruction. Only grim satisfaction. The Krellians had been warned. Twice. "Platform 77, target their flagship," Ben ordered. "Let's give the High Commander a personal demonstration." 3 asteroids that had been hiding near Saturn suddenly jumped to near light speed. Technology the architects had left allowed for instant movement across the solar system. The asteroids positioned themselves around Zyrax's flagship, forming a triangle. "High Commander, we must retreat," Vorn begged. "We've lost 18 ships already. This battle cannot be won." Zyrax stared at the screen showing his dying fleet. His pride had led them into this trap. The humans had not been bluffing. They had architect technology, real working architect technology. "All ships retreat to minimum safe distance," Zyrax finally ordered, his voice hollow. "Prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace." "Sir, we can't," the navigation officer reported. "Something is preventing our jump drives from activating. We're trapped in the system." Admiral Kate Morrison, commanding the human fleet from Earth orbit, allowed herself a small smile. "Gravity well network is functioning perfectly. They're not going anywhere until we let them." The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, 23 Krellian warships were destroyed. The remaining 7 were dead in space, their engines disabled by precise strikes from human weapons. Not a single human ship had been lost. Not one human weapon platform had been damaged. High Commander Zyrax sat in his command throne, surrounded by sparking consoles and injured crew members. His communications officer, bleeding from a head wound, managed to get one system working. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the humans." Commander Jake Murphy appeared on the screen. He looked calm, professional, not like someone who had just destroyed most of a fleet. "High Commander Zyrax, this is your final communication from humanity. 7 of your ships remain functional. We are going to release the gravity well and allow 1 ship to leave. You will send that ship back to your empire with this message. Earth is protected by architect technology. Any future attempt to attack or conquer our world will result in the complete destruction of your forces. This is not a negotiation. This is a fact." Zyrax wanted to argue, to threaten, to do something.
But he had nothing left.
His fleet was destroyed. His reputation was ruined. And worst of all, he had learned that the myths were real. "We understand," Zyrax said quietly. "Good," Jake replied. "The ship we're releasing will be escorted to the edge of the solar system. The rest of your vessels will remain here as evidence of what happens when our warnings are ignored. Safe travels, High Commander. And remember, you were warned." The communication ended, leaving Zyrax alone with his failure. The Krellian courier ship Swiftwind limped through space, its hull scarred by near misses from the battle. Sub-Commander Ryloth sat in the captain's chair, trying to understand what had just happened to the mighty Krellian fleet. Behind him, trailing at a respectful distance, was a human interceptor. The small ship was barely 1/10 the size of the Swiftwind, but Ryloth knew better than to think size mattered anymore. That small ship could probably destroy his vessel with a single shot. "Human ship is hailing us," reported his communications officer. "Put them through," Ryloth said tiredly. A young human appeared on the screen. He wore a pilot's uniform and had an easy smile that seemed wrong after such a devastating battle. "Swiftwind, this is Lieutenant Chris Baker of Earth Defense. I'll be your escort to the system boundary. Just keep on your current heading and we'll have you out of here in about 6 hours." Ryloth nodded slowly. "Lieutenant, may I ask a question?" "Sure, go ahead. How long have you known?" "About the architect ruins?" Chris's smile faded. 41 years. We've been preparing for this moment ever since. Building, learning, getting ready for the day someone came to Earth and tried to take it from us." "And if we had listened to your first warning?" Ryloth asked. "If we had turned back? Then we would have contacted you peacefully," Chris replied. "Invited you to talk, to trade, to become friends maybe. But you had to come in making demands and threats. That was your choice." Ryloth thought about that for a long moment. His people had lost 23 ships and thousands of lives because High Commander Zyrax was too proud to take a warning seriously. 6 hours later, they reached the edge of the solar system. Chris's interceptor pulled alongside the Swiftwind one final time. "This is as far as I go," Chris said. "But before you jump to hyperspace, I have a message for you to deliver to your Emperor. It's from our Admiral." Ryloth's screen changed, showing an older human woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Admiral Kate Morrison sat in her command center with Earth visible through the window behind her. "Sub-Commander Ryloth," Kate began, "you will take this message directly to Emperor Xanthus. Do not alter it. Do not summarize it. Play it exactly as I'm giving it to you." She leaned forward, her expression serious. "Emperor Xanthus, I am Admiral Kate Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet came to our solar system and demanded our surrender. We gave you a warning. You ignored it. What happened next was entirely your choice." Kate gestured to something off-screen and images appeared showing the destroyed Krellian ships. 23 of your vessels were destroyed. 6 remain in our custody as evidence. 1 was allowed to leave so this message could reach you. We want you to understand something very important. We did not use our full strength. What you saw was approximately 30% of our defensive capability. We wanted you to survive so you could deliver a warning to the rest of your empire." The Admiral's voice grew harder. "Earth is now a protected world under architect protocols. Any attempt to attack, invade, or conquer our planet will be met with overwhelming force. We have the technology, the weapons, and the will to defend ourselves. But we are not conquerors. We seek only peace and the right to exist freely." Kate's expression softened slightly. "However, we are also not unreasonable. If the Krellian Empire wishes to establish peaceful diplomatic relations with Earth, we are willing to discuss that. Trade, cultural exchange, mutual defense agreements, these are all possibilities. But only if you approach us with respect, not demands. The Admiral stood up. You have 1 solar month to respond. Send a diplomatic vessel to the edge of our solar system with your intentions clearly stated. If we detect any military vessels, any weapons platforms, or any hostile action, we will consider it an act of war. Choose wisely, Emperor. Earth gave you 1 warning before. We won't give a third. The message ended. Ryloth sat in silence, processing everything he had heard. We're clear for jump, his navigator reported. Wait, Ryloth said. He opened a channel to Chris Baker's interceptor. Lieutenant, 1 more question. The Admiral said you used 30% of your strength. Is that true? Chris's smile returned, but it was not friendly. It was the smile of someone who knew a dangerous secret. Sub-Commander, let me put it this way. What you saw today was us being gentle. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in under 5 minutes. We could have prevented any ship from escaping. We chose to let you go because we wanted the galaxy to know what happens when Earth is threatened, but we also wanted them to know we can show mercy. He paused, letting that sink in. Go home, Sub-Commander.
Tell your Emperor everything.
And hope he's smarter than your High Commander was. Because next time, if there is a next time, we won't be so gentle. The communication ended. Ryloth gave the order to jump to hyperspace. As the Swift Wind's engines powered up and the ship prepared to leave, he looked back at Earth's solar system one last time. That small blue planet, so innocent-looking from a distance, had just changed the balance of power in the entire galaxy. The humans had architect technology. They had the weapons of the ancient builders, and they had just proven they knew how to use them. The Swiftwind jumped to hyperspace, carrying its warning to the Krellian Empire. On Earth, President Linda Hayes addressed the planet from the White House. Billions watched as she explained everything. The truth about the Mars ruins, the 40-year secret, the battle in space, and what it all meant. Today, humanity stepped out of the shadows. Linda said, "We are no longer hiding among the stars, pretending to be less than we are. The galaxy now knows that Earth is protected, that we have the strength to defend ourselves. But more importantly, they know we seek peace." She smiled at the cameras. To every being in the galaxy who might be watching this, Earth extends an offer of friendship. Come to us in peace, and you will find friends. Come to us with threats, and you will find what the Krellians found. The choice is yours. The age of hiding was over. Earth had sent its message to the stars.